Go. Good to go. Good to go. Welcome everybody to Surviving Sales. This is not a JB Sales webinar, but it is a Sell Better by JB Sales production. Surviving Sales airs every single week, and I am joined today by my very good friend, Mr. Larry Levine. Let's all welcome Larry.
What's going on, Buckley?
Chilling, man. It's been entirely too long since we did something cool with everybody together.
I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
So for those of you that need a little background, I'm going to give you some things to know about Larry. Larry is the author of Selling from the Heart. This is one of my favorite sales books ever. It's one of the first sales books I read when I joined SaaS. And I will tell you that there is a James in here, but it is not me.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
So yeah, we are here live. This is one of those live things because we want to have a real conversation with you. Yes, thank you, Kirsten. We appreciate you. I know you're a big fan of Larry.
Oh, I love Kirsten. Thank you.
Larry is into sales and training. He is an owner, author, a CEO, a founder, decades of sales experience stemming from the copier industry on. Yeah.
Okay, now you've just dated. Now you've dated me, dude. Come on, man.
I mean, look, hey, lots of very skilled sellers come from the copier industry. It's not surprising that you learned all that you learned there and did what you did. Today, I think what I want to talk with Larry about are lots of things. We have a lot to cover, but I want to talk about the umbrella of three for sure. The calls, the emails, and the social, because Larry is a different breed altogether. SDR, AE, not really something that Larry sees a lot, but he focuses on the seller as a whole and their development and growth as a professional. Man, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. This is get this thing started.
Yeah.
I can't wait to dive into some of these conversations.
We were talking before we kicked this off, and you were talking about something that I think a lot of callers say. And the thing is the time frame that they give C-level executives, and we got into it pretty deep. Let's talk about the thing that you don't like that sellers do.
So first of all, I'm prepared for some backlash on this, and that's okay. But we all have opinions, right? And that's just the way the world goes. But if you hang out on social, right? And let's just dial into social. If you hang on LinkedIn for any amount of time, I mean, whether that be 5 minutes, 5 hours, right? Doesn't really matter. You're going to see this. We all talk about pattern interrupts. I'm not a big pattern interrupt fan, none whatsoever. I applaud the people that use them, that have success with them. But where I'm going with this is I want us to just look at this through the lens of the person on the other end who's receiving this. What's going on when you hear this? Can I get 27 seconds of your time? Can I get 31 seconds of your time? Right? Hey, just so you know, this is a cold call. Can I get 17 seconds of your time? Yeah, great. You're breaking a pattern interrupt, but man, we all know it's going to take more than 17 seconds, 27 seconds. What I'd like for us to think about is if you want to be viewed as a sales professional, then act as one. Use verbiage and lean into conversations like a professional. There's a professional on the other end of that phone. And can you imagine what's going on in their head just for a moment, Buckley, when somebody hears, can I have 27 seconds of your time? And that's an executive level decision maker. Why are we using childish verbiage with an executive level decision maker? I'm throwing that out there, but
we can throw it out there. No, so I imagine that facial expression to be eye rolls, probably a lot of like, you know, sometimes even like I imagine people have the phone, right? And they're like, oh, you know, they like put it, oh, like that's kind of the body language I would see. But here's the thing. Pattern interrupts work, but that particular pattern interrupt, I think, is overplayed. It's been around way too long, and it's not really a pattern interrupt if you're asking for time like every other seller does. In addition, it is a given. Every decision maker knows that if I get asked for 8 seconds, it's definitely going to be longer than 8 seconds.
And we all know that. So here's what I want us to think about is bring your genuine, authentic self to a conversation. Think, thank you. Think like, insert title of those people you're calling on, whether that be, if it's at executive level, think like a CFO, think like a CEO, think like a CIO, any C-level executive, if we want to drop it down a level, think like a mid-level manager, and we can insert all the titles of mid-level managers. What are the issues? What are the challenges? What are the things that they're thinking about? How can you help them, and craft your conversation in a way that immediately gets their attention?
So
go ahead.
We talked earlier, and one of the things that you said that made a lot of sense, and we are going to give you guys some things that you can say instead of this crazy number that we make up in our heads. So don't worry, we have things that you can say instead. But when we're talking about this, you said you think the reason this happens is because people are burying their heads in social and getting mixed advice.
There's some, yes. There, and again, I'm not here to discredit social, none whatsoever.
Totally not, right?
And there's a big play, and those that use it very strategically have a lot of success with it. But here's where I'm going with this. There's a lot of great advice on a social platform such as a LinkedIn, but there's a lot of horrible advice out there as well.
Yeah.
And what's happening, again, this is my opinion, is there's a lack, I believe there's a lack of leadership, and there's a lack of coaching and training inside a vast majority of sales teams. So what happens is impressionable salespeople are getting some of their advice through the lens of the social window, right, wrong, or indifferent. And when we start burying our heads in this, I mean, I always say we're legends in our own lunchbox, right? There's a lot of legends in their own lunchboxes on social. But I've always, and I'm a big believer in this, and I will stand by, and I'll go toe to toe with anybody on this, is if you act like a professional, you speak like a professional, you carry your lifestyle like a professional in the sales world, watch what starts happening to how you connect and start relating to people. That's what they want to engage with. They want to engage with a professional who speaks and carries themselves in a professional manner. That's how you're going to get on the right side of the table, whether that be face-to-face on a phone or over social.
Yeah, and you're also going to you're going to start getting treated like a professional in your outreach processes, in your sales conversations. If you act like one, you carry yourself like one. But this comes down to confidence. And I feel like this, and yes, Ramesh, I got you covered. We will talk about engagement and using LinkedIn for sure before the time is up. So no stress, Ramesh, we got you. But some of this is confidence. And I think confidence comes from competence, but we get a lot of competence from confidence as well. When we say things like, can I have 8 seconds of your time? Sometimes this comes across as, I'm really good. I can get this across in 8 seconds. That's all I need. But sometimes it comes across like, can I have 8 seconds of your time?
Yeah.
What's the difference there?
No, I mean, this is good stuff, because there's three things. If there's anything that you all pay attention to this right now, is I believe there's three things. I see it everywhere. I see it with the sales teams I work with, whether you're an inexperienced just heading into your sales career, or you're the most tenured salesperson out there. I see salespeople being affected by three things right now. There's a lot, but this keying on these three things. They lack confidence. There's a lot of sellers out there today, regardless of age, regardless of experience, that lack confidence.
Hi, sorry to bother you.
Exactly. But the way you increase your confidence is you got to practice this stuff every single day. And that's a whole nother story. So I believe sellers today lack a lot of confidence. They lack believability. And I'm going to take this one step farther. They lack believability in themselves and believability in their messaging. Y'all think about that one for a moment.
So confidence and believability, those are the first two?
Yeah. The last one, self-worth.
Ooh, so dude, I talk all the time about how most sellers don't even realize their true self-worth until way later in their career.
Yes. And this is why I wrote Selling from the Heart, and I take people on a journey around this, is the inner work that you all do fuels the outer success you're going to have in sales. If you lack self-confidence, if you lack believability in yourself and your messaging, and you have low self-worth, I'm going to tell you this right now. It comes across in how you deliver your message. It comes across in your body language, it comes across in your tonality, the lack of eye contact as you lean in or lean back, things like that. And when we can hone in on this, and I remember, this goes back to a really good friend of mine who was in ticket sales in the sports world. And he had brought me in to work with his team for one reason. And these were young, impressionable sellers. We're talking 21 to 30 years old, that range right there.
Right.
And he goes, the reason why I want you to come work with our team is this: they haven't found their authentic voice. Now, key in on this. This is coming from a sales leader. And it is hard, right? We don't learn this until later on in life. But if we're lacking confidence, we're lacking believability, we have low self-worth, and we haven't found our authentic voice, and we're just delivering scripts, people pick up on that. They really do. Are you delivering a message, or do you believe in the message? Huge difference.
Yeah, delivering a message and believing in a message are definitely not the same thing. And we have to believe in what we sell. If you don't believe in what you sell, just sell something else. Whatever, sell something you actually believe in. I want to pivot the conversation to social for Ramesh, and then we can come back to email later. We can carry the tone of self-worth and confidence through this. That would be great, because I get emails all the time, and I get social messages all the time, and they start with things like, I hate to bother you with this pesky message. And that's like the opener. And I feel like when we start our messages this way, it sets a bad tone for our readers. Our readers see this and they immediately know in their brain, even at a subconscious level, it happens right away. They go, this is going to be a pain in the ass.
I would love to. I'm just looking at Ramesh's question. I'd love to hear your input on using LinkedIn. Hey, Ramesh, if you can just type in chat, where are you really going with this? As far as the input on using LinkedIn, because I have a complete different philosophy on this.
Yeah.
Than most is, no one ever taught me how to use social. So just so you all know, is when I started my sales career, there was no internet, there was no social. To me, social's always been a part of selling. So if I take everyone back in time, so I started my career in the 80s, pre-internet. So I'm making.
I tried not to date you at the beginning.
It's okay. I'm throwing it out there, but I am telling you this is. Back in the 80s, the only way that we grew our business and prospected was phone and traditional pulling doors and shaking hands.
Right.
That is it. That we didn't have any of this fancy technology that we have today to allow us to expand our message. So I'm going to take everyone back, and then we're going to get to Ramesh's question. Is this one of the very first books I read in sales? Was How to Win Friends and Influence People by the great Dale Carnegie. Now, that book was written in 1937, and that book is still alive and well today. And the premise of that book, and we can apply it to how you prospect, regardless of what tool you use to prospect, is this. It's about building relationships and changing the way people think. And that's what stuck in my brain pre-internet. In prospecting is what sticks in my head as I bring this message out, because I'm going to share with you, I got to grow my business just like all of you do. James, you know that you got to grow your business as well. So I eat what I cook, and I'm delivering this because I practice it. It's about building relationships and changing the way people think. I've carried that right on to social, and the way I carry myself on social is exactly the same way I carry myself face to face. No different. Just because I'm behind a screen doesn't mean I act any different than I am face to face. The words I use, the messaging I use is all the same. And James, you know this, the way I communicate and engage online, I pull people into conversations. It's the same way I do it face to face. It's the same way I do it on the phone.
It's true. He is the same person in real life that you are seeing in this box with me right now. I promise you that. One of the things that you said there was that you're bringing this authenticity to the table because many people tend to struggle to get there and they don't realize it until way later. And the thing that Ramesh is saying here is the use of social to build that momentum and keep that momentum going, I think is something that he's seeing to be useful. So carrying your authentic voice into the social world is kind of what's drawing people towards you. And Ramesh, this is to answer your question. That's how Larry connects. So in my personal branding course, Ramesh, I'm happy to put it in the comments of the show here. In the personal branding course, I talk about how content is the road to connection, and that connection should lead to conversation. And that conversation is where you can build a relationship. Some people call this trust. Once you have that, you can earn an opportunity. And that's what Larry's describing here, this process.
Yeah. And I want to take this one step farther, because there's so many out there that focus solely on content, right? Content is a huge part of this.
Huge.
It's a massive
it's a catalyst, though.
It's a catalyst, but, and this is a big one, you can drive all the best content in the world, but if you haven't paid attention to how you look online, then you're not going to be as effective with your content. Nothing like, really keying on this, right? Everyone who's watching or listening to this is, if you haven't paid attention to how you're carrying yourself, how you dress, and how you communicate online, whether that be LinkedIn or any other insert social platform name, you're missing a golden opportunity. There's a ton of salespeople out there that drive some really great content, but they don't look like professionals online. They haven't spent the time to position themselves for the following. And I'm going to go there as,
but wait, Larry, I'm wearing a Smokey the Bear shirt.
Well, no, dude. Well, no, I mean, no, I'm setting that aside. I mean, that's not where I'm going. But there's so many people that focus on driving great content. They haven't realized, what do they look like? Have they looked at themselves in the mirror? And have they looked at themselves through the mirror lens of social? And I'm going to flip this around. Y'all can drive great content, but think about this through the lens of your decision makers and your influencers.
Right.
If they go, man, right, Joe, right? I'm just going to use the name. Hey, Joe's out there. He's driving great content. I'm starting to, yeah, wow, I want to take a peek at who this person is. And they go to your profile and there's not much there. What's happened to all your great content? You missed the golden opportunity to absolutely freaking connect to somebody. Pay attention to how you dress. Pay attention to how you carry yourself. Are you somebody who's trustworthy? Are you somebody who's credible? Are you worthy of having a conversation with somebody? What happens if they get engaged in a conversation? Take them on a journey. And that journey is how you position yourself. There's not a lot of people that really focus on this.
So one of the things I know young people struggle with, especially young sellers that are getting started and they're getting their roots and they're really passionate because they're new and the shine hasn't worn off yet. The luster is still lingering, but they're like, I want to appear credible, but I just started. How does a young person go about appearing credible so that they can earn those conversations on social?
Well, a couple things. Find a coach and mentor. They can help pull you out of this. I mean, they could
mentor.
I just wish thank you. I just wish I would have learned about this earlier on in my career than the mid part of my career.
Right.
But where young sellers can really find this out is start having conversations with executives and key decision makers in your network. They don't necessarily have to be your customers
or your own company, right?
Or your own company, right?
Yeah.
Go out and just think about all the people out in your marketplace. Think about all the people that are in your inner circle, your friends, your family, right? I'm sure you have family members who know people that are key decision makers, right? They carry an executive title and so forth. Start interviewing these people, buy them a cup of coffee, take them out to lunch.
My wife is an executive owner level, and she's my inspiration. I look to her for advice all the time. You have people in your life, in your network, that will lend 5 minutes to you and answer a quick question about what their priorities are. But if you don't leverage them, you'll never be able to talk to people that are like them. So that's what Larry's saying. Use your resources.
Yeah. And if we want to go internal and you're a young, impressionable seller, go internal to your company. Start interviewing people inside your company. Better yet, start interviewing some of your current customers. Now, I don't care if you haven't pulled them in, right? I don't care if you weren't responsible for bringing them into your company. The companies that you all working for have customers. And I'm a big believer in this, is your customers are a wealth of knowledge. You as a seller can earn a PhD in sales if you're willing to go deep with your current customers.
That's right. They'll tell you everything you want to know.
They will tell you everything you need to know. You got to set aside your fear. You got to set aside your ego, and you got to set aside all of that. And think about all your customers out there inside your customer base. They're all decision makers. They're influencers, things like that. They'd be more than happy to help you. All you got to do is ask, right?
I'm
All you have to
smiling
do is
because
ask.
I feel like this is something we say all the time, that your customer success team, if for those of you that work with a customer success team, they are your number one resource when you're first starting out, to know what your people care about, your customers care about. Just go to your customer success people and say, who are our best two customers and why do they love us so much?
You know, and I'll take this. We're going to go, I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to switch this right back into prospecting.
Do it.
Because this is how I believe young sellers, even tenured sellers, can open up great prospecting conversations.
Yeah.
Go back to your current customers. Ask them things like this, right? And I'm just going to we'll just role play this out if that's okay. But, you know, and let's just say I'm a seller. James is a customer of mine. I can pick up the phone and I can have some small talk with James. Hey, James, you know, I really appreciate the opportunity you've allowed me to serve your company for the past insert how long y'all been working together. Hey, I'm just curious. Over the last 90 days, how have we helped you do even better business?
Yeah.
Right? Stop and listen, right? There's one tip. Here's another one. I can also say, hey, James, right? It's been an honor to serve you and your company over the past several years. Can I just ask you to put your thinking cap on for a moment? James is going to say, sure. Hey, I'm just curious. As you start looking out over the next 6 months, right? So here we are. So as we're live, it's August 5th, right? 2022. I can say, James, here we are, right? Can I ask you to put your thinking cap on? Here we are. It's August 5th, 2022. I'm going to ask you to forward think. And I'm going to ask you to forward think to the end of the year. It's December 31st.
Woo.
What do you need to remove off your plate? What do you need to remove off your business plate over the next 4+ months in order to have a successful rest of the year? People, stop and listen. Take note of that. Go back, call your customers and ask that. Why am I sharing this with you? The things they share with you are prospecting gold for new conversations.
Nice.
So James, just give me 3 things, right? Let's just rattle this off for everyone really quick. Just give me 3.
I need at least 1,500 more people. Sorry, 15,000 more people to come to our webinars and our events. Number 1. I need as many ideas for content on social as possible that are related directly to frontline salespeople. And I need the best possible ways to advertise for our events.
Okay. So let's all think about that. So those 3 things that James had said, imagine if, right, James, you're going to have to help me out on this really quick. So I'm old and my memory's shot. Not really, but so now I'm a seller and I'm calling into people like James. Imagine this. Instead of saying, hey, can I get 27 seconds of your time? Right? This is a cold call. Imagine opening it up and saying, James, in working with people just like you, I've been helping them with finding. Now, James, give me those 3 things.
Yep. People to come to the webinars, tools to advertise for my webinars, and content to share to direct frontline salespeople.
Now imagine for a moment, sellers, people watching this and listening, if you open up your conversations with the issues, the challenges, and how you've been helping your current customers, help them with better, outcomes. Just think about this. Instead of the 27 seconds, I'm instantaneously connecting. Hey, James, I'm working with people just like you. I'm working with, insert the title of whoever you're calling into. I'm working with social media directors just like you. And these are the 3 things that we're helping them with. A, B, and C. Hey, I'm just curious. Out of those 3 things, which one hits home with you the most? Now, you can deliver all of this in like 20 seconds. If you deliver it with conviction, clarity, and you're concise.
Conviction, clarity, and concise. I like those 3 C's right there. That's nice.
It's an alliteration sickness, but think about this. Young sellers out there, and I'm not here to say don't use scripts. Scripts are the framework. But imagine if you went back to your current customers and you started asking your current customers, how have we helped you do better business over the last 90 days? What are 3 things that you're working on over the next 90 days? Right? Start writing those down. What you find out, you can flip those right into prospecting outbound conversations, picking up the phone, right? You have the gold sitting right in front of you. Here's what's interesting. The issues and challenges, the things that your current customers are working on, I promise you this, it may closely mirror what other companies, insert titles of people in those companies, are working on. Want to get into a great conversation? As a young seller, share with people that you understand something about their business based on what you're helping your current customers see and achieve.
Your current customers are a gold mine. Go back through that and listen. Larry, I want to talk about something that I think you'll understand more than anybody. I have a certain type of lead. I used to work with a guy named Aaron Riley, and Aaron Riley used to call these Lazarus leads. These are old, dead leads that you are reviving. You're bringing them back to life. I know that you have, I'm going to use the term Rolodex. You've got a list of people you've worked with in the past. How often do these people become valuable for you? I think sellers don't take advantage of this enough.
No, none whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, your network and how you invest in it, you'll be able to collect on it. And I want us to really think about that is, you know, old conversations that you've had with people that really haven't gone anywhere. You can still revive these conversations. Hey, hey, James, you know, I know it's been a while since we spoke. I was just thinking about you. I went back, right? I was reading an article. It took me back to our conversation we had a year ago. I was just thinking about you, right? Thought you would enjoy this article. Check it out, especially paragraph 2 of this, right? Give it some thought, totally up to you. After you read it, how about we hop on a call and talk about it?
Yeah, catch up, right? There's a catch up factor there when you have someone you know, especially right after they switch jobs. You can wait a couple of weeks, congratulate them on their new job, and then wait a couple more and then say, hey, let's connect. I'd love to learn how things have been going. And they want to connect with you and have that conversation.
I've always said, I write it about it in Selling from the Heart. It applies to anybody in sales. If y'all ever want to have an ever-flowing sales funnel, you must build an ever-flowing relationship funnel. Ooh. And what I would challenge everybody who's watching this and listening to it is this is an accountability part of this. There's accountability and discipline. You as a seller, how many conversations are you starting on a daily basis? Right? Think about that for a second. Everyone who's outbound prospecting, whether you're an SDR, BDR, AE, Lord forbid AEs prospect, right? Because they wait for SDRs and BDRs to serve it up on a silver platter for them.
Hot take right there.
So, but I always ask people, what are you prospecting for? Think about that for a second. What are y'all prospecting for? It's not a needle in a haystack. You're not prospecting for a meeting. You're prospecting to engage somebody into a conversation.
You're after the meeting. This is how I say it, and I think you'll agree. Sell at the meeting, not in the message.
Exactly. So the whole point behind this is to get somebody to open up.
Talk to me.
Talk to me. Align to me.
That's what we're after. Engagement.
Give me a reason to continue this conversation.
Right.
So I'll give you, I'm calling into VP of sales. I'm calling into sales managers, sales leaders, chief sales officers. I know the issues and challenges that these people are facing with in helping their sales teams become better. I take the things that I'm working on with my clients at Selling from the Heart, and I flip those into prospecting moments, such as, right? If I'm calling into a VP of sales and it's James Buckley, who's the VP of sales. Hey, James, in working with VPs of sales over the last 90 days, these are the 3 things that I've been helping them become better at. Increasing client retention, opening up new business conversations, and improving client relationships. Boom. James, I'm curious, out of those 3, which one hits home with you the most?
Yeah, and this will just help them to prioritize. Larry, you are a wealth of information for everyone in this room. I want to thank you for coming on this show. I want to thank you for sharing your insights. Everybody, go pick up Larry's book, Selling from the Heart. This book changed everything about my career and trajectory. This thing is a game changer for every seller out there, especially if you are a new seller. Around here, we always talk about eat. We can only affect three things: our effort, our attitude, and how we treat other people. And as long
so spot on, dude.
As long as we focus on those things, we can always make it happen. I want to tell you, thank you, Larry. Thank you to everybody that came to the show. Larry, last second advice for everyone in the room.
I would say this. It's I'm going to give everyone something to think about. We've all heard these phrases. People buy from people. We've heard the second phrase, people buy from people they know, like, and trust.
That's right.
Those phrases will be around forever and a day, long after we're off this planet. If those two things mean something to everybody who's watching and listening to this, here's what I'll leave you with. What are you doing to develop your people skills? And what are you doing to develop your relationship building skills? If you don't do any of those two things, stop using those quotes.
Money right there. That's great advice. I want you guys to join us next week, next Friday, where I interview Randy Chaffee. Once again, Larry, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, my pleasure.
We'll see everybody next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.